I believe, and I know, there's not one person on this world that's the same. I think it's important to normalise visible disabilities in society because it is so relatable. It's like putting people, just the stereotypical model or person out there, is not the norm for everybody. This is what we're living every day, people with disabilities. This is our normal. So I believe, and I know, there's not one person on this world that's the same. Everybody is different, whether that's a disability, whether that's something small, different haircuts, different everything, different clothing, like just different taste in music. Everybody is just so different. And I think that's why it's important to put that out there, because it is so normal. Representation in media means so much to me. I think it's really important to influence something out there for somebody. I think everyone can be influenced and everyone can influence. It just is important how you do it, because I think social media nowadays can be such a good place that actually it's sometimes my escape. Like I like to just post what I feel out on social media, and my mum will sometimes say, oh, I didn't know you were feeling like that, and I'll just post it out there because that's my comfort. However, it can go the opposite way and it can be quite toxic, and you can compare yourself, and especially if it is like, I don't know, you compare yourself with other influencers, or you're like, I'm not like that, I can't relate. So I think it's so important, but I think it's so important to influence something relatable to so many people. I mean, not everyone's going to influence you, but they could influence somebody else. But I definitely think it's so important to influence good things and to make a difference. I think that's what influencing is making a change and actually having a good influence on somebody. So yeah, I think it's massively important to me, but I think it's just how it's done. And I think as long as it's done in a good manner and you're having the best interest in people, that's the most important thing. I think brands can definitely do better with the stigma around body image. I think it's definitely getting better, and you do see more models with disabilities and differences, and more plus size girls, which I think is incredible. And again, it's going back to being relatable, like for everybody to relate, because all of our bodies are so different. However, I do think there's still a massive gap in the whole brand industry, because there's a difference between wanting to use somebody and to have somebody with a disability or differences to model for you, other than having to use them because you feel like you just need to have somebody or a model with a disability. And I think that's the difficult thing. I've seen like events, so I'll see brands that have models who have disabilities, and I think it's so incredible, and then do an event where they don't have accessible facilities for those models. And I think that's where the kind of gap is that it's not being thought out properly, and it's not being thought about at all. I think that is the problem nowadays. So I'd like to see more brands being totally inclusive and just having all types of different models model for them because they want to, not because they have to. And I think that's the difficult thing. But I think as long as you keep talking out and I keep posting who I am and my differences, I feel like hopefully that will help, it's helping the community and helping work together and helping making a change. So from my public speeches, I know not everybody has a physical difference, but I would hope that everybody could walk away just taking something from my speech that they can relate to and that can drive them to achieving what they want to achieve. So it's not, I don't just talk about losing my eye and living with a prosthetic eye and how I cope with that. It's about how I've used something that made me so insecure and used my trauma and everything that I thought would hold me back to push me forwards. And I believe that every human being has something they're possibly struggling with or have struggled with or will struggle with, when actually instead of not coming out of that zone and just struggling, to use it in a way that can push you forwards and actually to come out of that struggle. Because I never thought I would ever get used to living with a prosthetic eye and losing my eye. However, I now have realised that's pushed me to do things I never thought I would do, and I actually don't think I would have ever done if I still had both my eyes and hadn't gone through what I'd been through. So I would hope that people could walk away, if they don't take something massive from my speech, but at least something little that can help them with their everyday living.